This is a tutorial to write a decent short constructor response. This is for those of you that maybe need a little bit of help getting started. Maybe you're still confused about how to construct a claim. Maybe you need some help connecting the dots. So this is a good one for you to watch. I also have another tutorial on here. This is just a more updated one now that we've moved a little bit through the year. I'm going to do this one on the landlady. We did not do this in class, so I thought it would be a great one to do for this tutorial. All right, so I'm changing my font because that's just going to bother me and I know it. All right, so I don't want to be bold. Okay, first things first, claim. What is a claim? I've talked to a few of you about this, and last year you did RACES responses, which is restate and answer, and claim is just another word for that. So claim is what you're stating, it's what you're going to prove in your response. So in this case, we're asking you, what is the major theme of the story and what evidence supports your answer? So in this case, I'm going to say, what are they really asking me? They're asking me what the major theme is. What if they just said, what's the theme or what's one of the themes? That's a different question than what's major theme. So I'm going to highlight this, okay? So highlight major theme. So now I'm going to start constructing my claim. So claim. To get you started, why don't you start writing the word claim? As you go back, you can edit. So for now, let's do claim. What is the major theme of the story and what evidence supports your answer? So the major theme of the landlady is that appearances can be deceiving. That straight up answers the question. You don't have to overthink it at this point. I want to make sure you have the structure. You can add to it later. For now, structure is the most important. So we've answered it very clearly and very concisely, and we've included the title. The major theme, we're going to highlight that again just to prove that we answered it. And I'm also going to highlight the theme itself. Everything in your response should be relating to these things, okay? So claim, evidence. What evidence do we have? I don't need to highlight that in yellow because that's not part of it. Let's go back to our story. Hopefully your story is completely annotated and it's highlighted and you have notes in the margins, because if so, it's a lot easier to write a constructive response. And I've been saying this in class, and it is so true. For those students that do a great job annotating and that read it carefully and make notes, they can write a short constructive response a little bit faster because they know where they're going. So for this one, look, I already highlighted that because I was highlighting for the landlady's characteristics. So right here, I said she was about 45 or 50 years old, and the moment she saw him, she gave him a warm, welcoming smile. Please come in, she said pleasantly. That shows how the landlady is. And so I think that's a great choice for evidence because she appeared pleasant. She appeared kind. Was she? No, what we found out is that she's a cold-blooded killer who stuffs her guests, which is really gross and disgusting. So she wasn't pleasant or kind, but she really appeared that way. So it's a good piece of evidence to showcase how Billy met her and what he thought about her, okay? So I'm going to put that here. And then we have to do a lead in to our quote. So we have this evidence. How are we going to lead into it? Let's see. When Billy first meets the landlady, she appeared kind. And then I'm going to lead right into the evidence, right? Also, see this little blue line under appeared? That means I spelled it wrong. You should fix that as you go or afterward, so that you don't get marked off for grammar, okay? And sometimes like this, it's going to say, wait, no, it appears kind. Okay, I'm going to go with Google on this one. We'll talk about that later. All right, she was about 45 or 50 years old, and the moment she saw him, she gave him a warm, welcoming smile. And then it says, please come in, she said pleasantly. Now, when she talks, I only need one quotation. Please come in, she said pleasantly. And then we don't do the period right away, but we do the double quotes. And then we do DAHL because that's his name. And this is page number 3. Okay. So that's our evidence. So when Billy first meets the landlady, she appears kind. She was about 45 or 50 years old, and the moment she saw him, she gave him a warm, welcoming smile. Please come in, she said pleasantly. Now, do you notice I'm reading this back to myself? When you read out loud, you can hear things. Like, for instance, just there, I heard that she appears kind is correct. So I can hear that in my ear. Trust your ear. You've been hearing conversation for your entire life. So sometimes trust your gut and you're right. Okay. So let's go on. What's next? Reasoning. So what's our reasoning? Your reasoning has to connect your claim to your evidence. Now let's go back on the evidence real fast before we move forward. We're talking about appearances can be deceiving. What is her appearance? Warm, welcoming, a smile. 45 or 50. Do you guys think that that's a good indicator of her being nice? I mean, he did say she reminded him of his friends' moms or grandmas. So let's do that. Then that way we can talk about that, okay? If you highlight it now, is better. You can always unhighlight it later. What else? Pleasantly. It's very nice. Okay. So now reasoning. Let's say, so why is this important? Appearances can be deceiving. When Billy met her, she smiled at him. She appears kind. So now we have to talk about these things in our evidence. We have to talk about what we brought up. Like, why did we pick that quote? Well, I picked it because she looked really nice and she wasn't, but that's how she got Billy, right? So this quote shows the reader that the landlady appears nice. She has a smile, and that typically means that someone is happy to see a person. Billy thought she reminded, thought she was like his friends' mothers, grandmothers. Let's see, because he said it in here, right? She looked exactly like the mother of one best school friend welcoming into the house to stay for Christmas holidays. Okay, cool. Billy thought she was like, let's see, let's do that another quote. Can we do that? That's a little advanced, but we're still going to do it, all right? Let's see. She looked exactly, let's just paraphrase it. She looked like some of his friends' mom, or one of his friends' mom. Because she looked familiar and pleasant, he felt comfortable with her. Let's read that again and see if it makes sense and see if we're hitting those items, okay? This quote shows the reader that the landlady appears nice. She has a smile, and that typically means that someone is happy to see a person. Billy thought she looked like a friend's mom. Because she looked familiar and pleasant, he felt comfortable with her. Now, with this friend's mom, you can always add another quote to that. So, to be safe, if you ever question it, to be safe, add a citation. It's always better. This is from page 3 as well. Because we already did a citation, we can just put page 3. Okay? So, 3. All right. So, let's go make sure that our highlights add up. So, it shows the reader the landlady appears nice. She has a smile. So, we directly talked about our quote. Typically means someone's happy to see a person. She thought she looked like a friend's mom. Because she looked familiar and pleasant, he felt comfortable with her. And how does that support the theme? Well, remember at the beginning, we talked about how she appeared nice, and that's why Billy went in, but it turned out she was a murderer. So obviously her appearance deceived him. That's how we tie it into a nice little bow. Okay. So we're going to say he felt comfortable with her because, we already said because, his comfort led him to enter a home where the landlady eventually murdered him. So we can conclude that He was deceived by appearance. Okay. Let's read it again. Like I keep saying, reading it out loud helps you to hear things that are right or wrong. It also gives you a good indication of the flow of your passage. Okay. So um, let's get rid of claim, evidence, and reasoning too, because I want to clean this up. So when I turn it into Miss Field, she's like, wow, you're super amazing. And it's kind of weird that I'm talking about myself in the third person, but it's late in the day. You guys get it. All right, so let's clean it all up. So it looks like one paragraph. Let's not make it bold because we want it to look really good. And let's read it out loud. The major theme of The Landlady is that appearances can be deceiving. When Billy first meets the landlady, she appears kind. She was about 45 or 50 years old, and the moment she saw him, she gave him a warm, welcoming smile. Please come in, she said pleasantly. This quote shows the reader that the landlady appears nice. She has a smile, and that typically means that someone is happy to see a person. Billy thought she looked like a friend's mom. Because she looked familiar and pleasant, he felt comfortable with her. His comfort led him to enter a home where the landlady eventually murdered him, so we can conclude that he was deceived by appearance. We wrap this up super nice.